right, Stella. Now we are going to hear Lemony Snicket's The Latka Who Couldn't Stop Screaming, a Christmas time story, illustrations by Lisa Brown. Okay. The Latka is screaming. There's lots of front pages. This story ends in someone's mouth, but it begins in a tiny village more or less covered in snow. The snow had fallen during the long night, during which children had pressed their faces to the windows looking for a glimpse of a man who they suspected of bringing them wonderful gifts, but instead they heard a terrible noise from a certain cottage in the neighboring arrondissement, a word which here means, quote, place where something was being born, end quote. And we see nice little pictures of houses and trees and snow. This cottage was already regarded with some suspicion, as it was the only place not decorated with flashing colored lights at this time of year. See? There's no lights. There's no lights on. But there's still snow. The thing that was being born was a latke, a word which here means, quote, potato pancake, end quote. Latkes are a traditional part of the celebration of Hanukkah, a holiday commemorating a miraculous Jewish military victory. Nearly everything in this world is born screaming, and the latke was no exception. Even though the latke wasn't conceived and born the way you and I were conceived and born, but instead was fashioned from grated potatoes, chopped onion, beaten eggs, and a dash or two of salt. Once these ingredients were properly mixed and the latke was slapped into a pan full of olive oil heated to a very high temperature, and this is when it began to scream. So see, we have a potato peeler, and chop up the onions, and add some egg, and mix it all together and put it in the frying pan. That equals, next page, it's a screaming latke. Ah! Oh, you didn't like that? Oh. Oh, now you do. Ah! Ah! The latke was suffering so much that it leapt out of the hot pan, out the window of the cottage, and began to run screaming down the boulevard. Out the window. Looks like he's sweating.
Just the oil.
Ah! This may seem like unusual behavior for potato pancake, but this is a Christmas time story in which things tend to happen that would never occur in real life. The latke ran past a row of flashing colored lights which hung from the rain gutters of a less suspicious cottage. What's all the ruckus, said the lights in unison. We're the ones who are supposed to be dominating the neighborhood with our cheerful glow. I was just thrown into a pan of boiling oil, the latke cried and replied. Can you believe it? Yes, said the flashing colored lights, but we can't imagine why. Because I'm a latke, said the latke. The olive oil reminds us of the oil used to rededicate the temple following the defeat of Antiochus at the hands of the Maccabees. The oil was only supposed to last for one night, but there was a miracle and it lasts for 8. Plus frying makes my skin crispy and brown. It's true. So you're basically hash browns, said the flashing colored lights. Maybe you could be served alongside a Christmas ham. I am not hash browns, cried the latke. I'm something completely different. Ah! You say ah? You say ah earlier. Yeah. Ah! The latke ran to the corner and found itself face to face with a candy cane, which wrinkled his red and white nose at the latke in distaste. I'm trying to sprinkle the night with my peppermint scent, the candy cane said. He's kind of British. Your mouth-watering smell, not to mention all that yelping, is spoiling the effect. My mouth-watering smell is part of the cozy feeling of Hanukkah, the latke replied. It reminds us that things are better now than they were in 175 BCE, when my people were not allowed to practice their religion. In order to study the Torah, they had to hide out in caves, and when they heard the Greek soldiers approach them, they pretended they were gambling with a small spinning top called a dreidel. Okay, what was my candy cane accent? Sort of like Joseph and Mary hiding out in the manger, said the candy cane. Someone could write a Christmas carol about you. I'm not a part of Christmas, cried the latke. It's a totally different thing. I think we know what's coming next. Alright, ready? Ah! screams of the Latka grew quieter and quieter as the pancake ran out of the village into the surrounding forest. Its utter fury was unabated, a phrase which here means the Latka was still very annoyed at the objects to whom it had spoken. But it was quite tired, and so it decided to rest for a few minutes beneath the branches of a little pine tree. The pine tree was napping, but woke up at the sound of an object plopping down at its feet. Yes, it's famous, I see. The Latka's not happy too. Oh, I like the Latka. Are you a present? The pine tree asked. Presents are pretty much the only thing allowed to sit beneath me during this time of year. The Latka sighed. Presents aren't really a big part of Hanukkah, it said in a voice hoarse from screaming. There's nothing wrong with giving gifts to loved ones, of course, but it's more important to light the candles for 8 consecutive nights to commemorate the miracle of the temple, the miracle of victory even when you're thoroughly outnumbered. So you shouldn't give up hope. Bluff Santa Claus, said the pine tree. The Latka was too exhausted to scream. Santa Claus has nothing to do with it, the Latka says. Christmas and Hanukkah are completely different things. But different things can often blend together, said the pine tree. Let me tell you a funny story about pagan rituals. But before the pine tree could begin its story, a family came tromping through the snow, searching the forest carefully. I wonder what they're looking for. We shouldn't have waited until the last minute to get ready for the holiday, said the father of the family, who was holding an axe. We'll never find a good one. You shouldn't give up hope, said the mother, and pointed at a tree. Pine tree, look! It's perfect, said the daughter. Beautiful, agreed the son. Such a marvelous shape, said the mother. And its skin looks so crispy, said the father, and reached out and scooped up the Latka from the snow. We'll need to reheat it, of course, but this will be perfect for Hanukkah dinner, with a topping of applesauce, sour cream, or even jam. Oh, we've fried in oil, said the mother, to remind us of the rededication of the temple. And the triumph of the Maccabees over Antiochus, added the daughter. After hiding in the caves all that time, the son chimed in. The father smiled down at the Latka in his mitten, and then stared curiously in his other hand. What was I thinking, bringing this axe, he said to himself. The family strolled back to the village, walking past all the cottages with flashing colored lights and smiling politely at the candy canes until they reached their own home. The family carried the Latka into their own home, which was warm and cozy, and sat down at the table, which was lit with the flickering candles of a menorah, or hanukkiah, which is a branched candelabra designed specifically for the holiday. Hanukkiah? Look. He's sleeping in a little pillow of sour cream. Looks like a happy Latka now. It's very frustrating not to be understood in this world. If you say one thing and keep being told that you mean something else, it makes you want to scream. But somewhere in the world there's a place for all of us, whether you're an electric form of decoration, peppermint-scented sweet, a source of timber, or a potato pancake. On a cold, snowy night, everyone and everything should be welcome somewhere, and the Latka was welcomed into a home full of people who understood what a Latka is and how it fits into their particular holiday. And then they ate it.